Hello everybody. I wanted to make a quick video talking about something that's got me fired up. I have this nasty habit of going on rants to my family, to my wife in particular. She has to listen to me ramble about things. And for a long time, I've been thinking I should probably just turn this into videos or a podcast or something and rant at people on the internet so that I don't have to subject my family to all of my various whinings about things that we really have no control over and maybe ultimately aren't that important, but they're interesting to me, so I'm going to make a video about it in case you find it interesting too. And it's about the dress code that was instituted by the Senate in response to John Fetterman dressing like a child in Congress. To be honest, when I learned about this news story, I saw the conservative response, which was, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that he dressed like that. It's an insult. It's disrespectful to the institution of Congress and whatever." And I think that Congress should be held to the same standard as the rest of us, and I have to wear a suit at work, so why shouldn't they? And yada. Okay, and I guess I get that perspective. I think it's a big mistake. I think it's a big mistake to institute a dress code in Congress on a principled level. And here's why. Because I want my congressperson to be more afraid of what I think as the voter than they are of what the rest of Congress thinks, or any other bureaucrats in the deep state or in the government anywhere. I think it's just more bureaucracy. And I mean, good Lord, are you going to tell me that we're going to institute a rule about whether or not you can be like at your desk there for a vote serving in Congress based on how you're dressed, and that's never going to be manipulated or abused by either side for their political purposes? There's no way that this rule would ever be weaponized. Really? I don't believe it. I heard once that Thomas Jefferson apparently had some interesting clothing choices, or there was some controversy. I don't remember where I picked this up exactly, but somebody told me that people were upset at Thomas Jefferson when he was the president because he was wearing street clothes or just ordinary people's clothes, and they thought, well, the president should be wearing nicer clothes than that, or, it was for some occasion. I did like 10 seconds of Googling, and it says, one major controversy over the dress code during his administration involved the arrival of British Prime Minister Mary at the White House, who was dressed in full dress attire, but was greeted by Jefferson, who wore only breeches, a shirt, stockings, and slippers down at the heels. I am not a good enough student of history to know exactly why that's such a big deal, or to know any of the context of that incident, or why exactly it was so controversial. I mean, was he meeting him in the middle of the night or something? Was that just... Stuff happens. I mean, you can see it in the media cycle today, in the mainstream media and our modern 24-hour news cycle. You can find just an unguarded moment from just about any politician where they do something kind of stupid, or they weren't thinking about their public image, or, we're all human, and stuff happens. I have to wonder if that incident is one of those things, or if it was him making a statement. I really don't know. I haven't read enough history, but this is something that people have told me about Thomas Jefferson, and I just think it's interesting that we live in a country that says that it's all about liberty and it's all about freedom. You can do whatever you want unless you are in Congress, then you have to dress how we say. And quite frankly, I want to reserve the right as a voter to elect somebody who is dressed like as much of a goofball as I want them to be. See, the point isn't that I want Congress to dress like clowns, although considering the way that they are voting and talking, that might be more appropriate. I want that to be under our control. We, the people, should kind of have a say about that. And I think that instituting a dress code in the Senate, and saying, well, that man has to dress in a suit from now on, that deprives us of the opportunity to look at John Fetterman, for example. I fill in the blank with any other politician. But it deprives us of the opportunity to gawk at them and say, look at that guy. Like, really? You, Pennsylvania? He's from Pennsylvania, right? Really, Pennsylvania? You elected that guy? Like, do better next time. Or if you live in Pennsylvania, you could say, I can't believe we elected that guy who's dressing in a clown suit every day. I mean, this isn't like this is feedback. This is input. This gives us information as voters so that we know something about these people based on the way that they're behaving. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, just uh, choices of dress. Really, we have to control this on a principle level. I guess thinking it out, you could say, well, like you can't just do whatever you want. There's limits on your liberty, right? You can't, um, But I mean, is there a law somewhere telling you how you have to be dressed? Uh, I mean, outside of basic decency standards, and I mean, okay, of course, they're supposed to be dressed somehow. But the thing about this is fashion choices, fashion styles, they change over time, right? Why don't we institute a rule in Congress that says all the Congress people have to wear powdered wigs? I mean, that was fashionable at one time. Um, I'm pretty sure that was required in some kind of job in the British government. I don't know if it was in Parliament or what, or judges, but they all had to wear the powdered wigs because somebody kind of made that decision at one point in time that this is the way that we're going to dress to do this job now. I, who's to say that your suit isn't going to look absolutely ridiculous in the future? Uh, what if you had a CEO from California serving in Congress, and he ran a company, and he was one of these guys who started dressing in the jeans and sport coat look that a lot of CEOs adopted. You know, was was that in the 90s or kind of recently? It became like a fashion trend that was fairly popular for a lot of powerful, serious people, and they dress this way. And like now it's kind of an accepted thing. Now maybe it depends on your company culture. Maybe it depends on where you're from. I mean, I think it's more of a West Coast thing. They tend to dress a little more casually, and just overall, as I understand, which is my understanding of the fashion world is very small. Okay, but I'm just saying, like, who's deciding like what's right and wrong in terms of how you're dressed? I want I want my congressperson to worry about how they're dressed. I do, but I want them to worry about what I think about how they're dressed and not what the rest of Congress thinks about how they're dressed or what the military industrial complex thinks of how they're dressed or the deep state or anybody else, because I'm the voter and I'm supposed to be in charge here. They are public servants. This is not supposed to be a job where they go into the mystical temple because they're going to make all of the decisions, the behind the scenes for how we run our society, and they are the appointed magical clergy that's going to tell us how everything is. Like, no, you're a glorified DMV worker. This job, being a congressperson, is supposed to be annoying to you, the congressperson. This job is supposed to be a thing that you did because we kind of made you. Because we looked at you and you were successful and smart, and we were like, that's the guy that, like, he'll know what to do. We're gonna put him in that position because, like, we like him. Like, put him in there. And you're supposed to have an attitude that's like, for like 2, 4, 6 years, depending on what you do or what your term is. Like, really, I have to do that? Oh man, like, people who actually seek out this position. I mean, if they're worried about keeping it, I want them to be worried about what I think. And this is just, it feels anti-American to me. There's something unsettling about it, and I feel kind of alone in that position because I'm right-wing, I'm conservative, I'm on the right, but all the conservative people are making comments about this just because it's a guy that's on the other side of the aisle. You know what I mean? Like, just because it's John Fetterman, and we love to make fun of John Fetterman. I mean, was Dr. Oz really a better was he really that good of a candidate? Obviously, he was a better candidate because just about anybody would be a better candidate than John Fetterman. But you know what I'm saying? Like, our guy wasn't that great either. I feel sorry for Pennsylvania. If I had to vote in that election, I don't know what I would do exactly. But I very rarely pay any iota of an attention in the mainstream media, and I made an exception for this because I just wanted to brush up, and I watched this video, and I'm just gonna read from the transcript a couple of things. It was from MSNBC. Um, what sense is that? Do you have any sense of tradition? This is somebody just not taking it seriously, and I am sick and tired of him. This guy looks like he is in a gang or working out somewhere like gym clothes. I think it's horrible. I think it's part of the deterioration of the country. The last thing before we go tonight, the Senate's new clothes. It's just a taste of the backlash. Okay, they talk about Chuck Schumer because he was kind of in charge of changing the rule. And he was going to relax it for John Fetterman, and then a whole bunch of Republicans got upset. And again, okay, and this is just, that's par for the course, right? We keep bickering over rules of procedure in Congress because it's advantageous to us now. Both sides do this. It's advantageous to us right now, and they don't think about the long-term consequences or like the principle of the thing or if this is actually fair. I mean, allowing casual clothing on the Senate leads to discern. I don't know what that was going to say. I don't want to play the video because I don't want to get a copyright strike or something. But there's a lot of people who are upset. Republican senator joked, "I plan to wear a bikini." There have been no bikini sightings as of yet. Some members were taking advantage of a more relaxed dress code, walked down to the floor in jeans and cowboy boots. Travel attire. I mean, they're Congress people, so they're going to argue about everything, right? That's basically their job. And then they talk about feminism and women's movements and how they had to fight for the right to wear what they want in Congress, etc., because it's the mainstream media. So they got to tie it to some kind of liberal agenda. And then John Fetterman says, "Oh my gosh, they're losing their mind, and it doesn't make sense." And which to be honest, I kind of feel him on that. I don't know. As as ridiculous as that man is, and as much as I think it's ridiculous that he was elected to be a senator, I think he made the point, like, don't we have better things to do? And quite frankly, that thought crossed my mind before I heard him say it too. Don't we have better things to worry about than this victim of a stroke who decided to wear his workout clothes to Congress one day? I mean, like, how about we focus on AI or China or like just the implosion of the economy or something, like there's so much that we could do. I read an interesting article as I was preparing to record this video also about Thomas Jefferson's wardrobe, and I might read a little bit of this. It's from DNR Online. stands for Daily News Record. Dun dun dun. Where do they talk about who's talking? On February 15th, Monticello, the home and burial site of Thomas Jefferson, presented a lecture on Jefferson's fashion sense and its revolutionary implications, giving us plenty of details of design and color. I'm not sure that sentence is grammatically correct because Monticello wasn't giving the talk. Probably a person was, right? The talk and slide presentation, Thomas Jefferson, Politics Are Fashionable, Fashion is Political, was given by Chloe Chapin, a PhD candidate from Harvard in the American Studies program and a current fellow at Monticello's Jefferson Library. There we go. Worked as a professional costume designer. Said from pre-revolutionary times to the days of the early American Republic, men's fashions went from peacock to penguin. Bright colors were followed by dark suits and white shirts, a trend that has continued to this day through all of the official portraits of the 46 presidents. Fashion is a language, but there's no dictionary. Okay, there's different fashion trends. There was a changing of fashion trends during the American Revolution. The style of dress of a black suit and plainness was attached to political ideas. The tailored men's garments of the revolutionaries contrasted with the dress requirements of King George III's court. Men's court clothes had to be luxurious and heavily embroidered. The embroidery was done with the finest silk and with gold and silver thread. In the spirit of all men are created equal, court attire was rejected in the United States. Okay, and just in the sense of the principle of the thing, like, during the American Revolution, they made their clothes much more plain as an ideological, political statement. They were saying, we're not going to get all fancy because, look, this job isn't really that special. We are public servants. We're not subjects of the king appointed by Almighty God going into the magical temple to, dish out commands from on high. We're just dudes taking care of logistics for society, basically. It was advancing the ideas of democracy and the idea that we're all equal and we all get a vote and we all get a say and nobody is really inherently special above another person. That was the ideological implication of them changing the dress code to be more plain. And I feel like instituting a dress code in Congress that says you have to dress in this business attire, whatever that is at the time, is like the opposite of that, isn't it? Because it's saying, there's a class of people that are actually in charge, and you have to look like one of the class of people that are in charge. You have to dress fancy enough to be acceptable to this institution that's running everything. And I don't like it, because that institution isn't running things. We are ordinary people. The reason that they should dress in suits, if you're going to say they should dress in suits, is because that's what ordinary people wear, not because it's like a higher standard of dress. Of course, many people would say that's not really what ordinary people wear, is it? That's not what I'm wearing right now. I got my Billy Joel t-shirt on. I don't dress like that normally unless I have something really formal or important to do. You could say, well, I mean, serving in Congress sounds like a pretty formal and important thing to me. Yeah, okay, I suppose. I just don't like the heavy-handedness, really. I can see both sides, okay? I get it. I get that, and I think it's good, personally, if you feel like, well, I want them to dress in a suit because it's showing that they respect what I think, that they're trying to bring their best selves to the job and do the job well. And I feel the same way. Personally, I want my congressperson to dress well, to dress appropriately, to dress in a fairly serious manner. Like a regular business person. Like that. That's what I like. But just because I like it, I don't feel good about making that the rule for everybody else. You know what I mean? If there's some voters that want to vote in a ridiculous looking person somewhere, I don't think we should take that right away from them. And I don't think that their guy, just because he dresses, a little weird, or maybe a lot weird, I don't think that means that candidate or congressperson, if you will. I want to say guy, but I know like women are congresspeople too. That person, okay, that doesn't mean that person should be disallowed to execute the function of serving in Congress, right? Although part of the reason it feels awkward to say women is because I don't think women would dress crazy anyway, because generally women are more keyed into fashion trends and caring about how they look, right? But I just don't like making a rule like that. It feels like there's a little bit of power that's being taken away from us, the people, who are supposed to be able to vote for whoever we want. They have to do what we say. That's how this is supposed to work, not the other way around. So, food for thought. I hope you learned something. I might talk to you later.